everybody, welcome to Rendezvous with Rohan. I'm your host, Rohan Sehra, and my guest tonight is someone who I admire a lot. They have been working as the vice principal of ShishuBharati and also an architect in Red Hat. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Sanjay Rao. So how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. So to start off, I'll ask you a question. Where did you grow up? Tell us something about yourself.
I grew up in a suburb of Mumbai, in India. The place is called Mulund, and I grew up in a nice community with a lot of friends growing up. In India, there's a whole thing, kids play outside, and I grew up in that kind of an environment where we celebrated all kinds of festivals and played outside and had a lot of fun. Yeah.
And who is in your family?
So my family is my parents and one sibling. I have a younger sister who's 5 years younger to me.
Nice. So you said you were in Mumbai. That's the place of movie stars. Did you ever encounter anybody there?
I did, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
Mumbai is a place of movie stars. I saw several movie stars, but the one I loved the most was Dimple Kapadia.
Oh, wow.
So I used to work at World Trade Center in Mumbai, at Kaf Parade. And we were out there during lunchtime walking around, and she walked by and she literally stopped traffic. I mean, she was gorgeous. So she is my favorite by far.
So when did you move to the USA and how was the transition at that time?
I moved to USA in the year 2000. In fact, I was working for HDFC Bank at that time. And I was going to move in 1999, but my boss requested me to stay back to complete the Y2K project, which you probably know was big at that time.
Yeah.
Although the software at our bank was not really affected by Y2K per se, but they wanted us to, my boss wanted me to stay back, complete the project, complete the transition, and then go. So I finished it, and then I moved here in the year 2000. And as far as transition goes, it wasn't very challenging at all. I hear a lot of stories about people who came here 10, 15 years before I did, and they faced a lot of challenges. But for me, it wasn't bad at all. We moved to Nashua pretty much the year after I moved here, and I had a few friends here who were already staying in this region. So it was a smooth transition.
Oh, so you mentioned you came here the year after Nashua. So where did you go before that?
Well, I landed, my job was in Waltham, Massachusetts. So I used to live in Woburn. And my very first contract ended up being in Nashua at Digital Equipment. And so as a result of that, we moved to Nashua.
I see. So you have been volunteering at ShishuBharati for a very long time. How many years has it been?
I think it's been close to 12 years now.
Oh wow, 12 years. So how did you connect with ShishuBharati?
There's a funny story behind that too. So I wanted my son to go to ShishuBharati, but at one point he was really not interested. And he wasn't a small kid, so we couldn't force him to go. He was already in 6th grade by that time. But we went to India, and there, once he saw people talking in Hindi, and he felt so left out that when we came back, he said, I want to learn Hindi. And for me and my wife, there was no bigger joy because the kid himself asking to go learn Hindi. So we enrolled in ShishuBharati, and I came in and I saw everything was run by volunteers. So I offered my services. I said, any way I can help out. So I think for the first 6 months, I actually helped out at the snack table. And then they said they needed teachers. So I transitioned into teaching.
Teachers, that's nice.
Yeah.
So what motivates you to spend your Sundays at ShishuBharati? Is it because your child used to go there himself? Is that what motivated you?
That was the beginning, actually. I mean, since I was there, I thought, if I can help out, help them run the school in whichever way possible, it's good. So that's how I started. But once I started teaching, I really started enjoying it. Because I realized that in order to be a good teacher, you have to learn.
Yeah.
And I love reading. I was a big history buff before that. So once I started reading, one of the things also I realized is when all the things that I learned as a kid, they had a completely new meaning to me now that I started reading them again. Now I had to understand them more deeply, to teach the children. So it just gave me a completely new energy. And then hanging out with the kids at ShishuBharati is a lot of fun. So so that kept me going for so long now, and I hope to do it for as long as I can.
So do you enjoy your job in IT?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. You've been there for 3 decades.
3 almost, yeah. I started at Unit Trust of India as a database administrator because my background, I learned about databases and programming, but I found that my understanding of bigger, large systems was very good, and that really matched my skill set. So I started doing that. Then I transitioned into HDFC Bank, and then I came here, worked for almost 10 years at Digital and Compaq, and then finally now Red Hat for almost 14 years. I love it. I love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, if you had your chance, would you change your career, and what would you do if you had to?
That's a good question. When I was, I finished my 12th. In India, 12th is like what's high school here.
Yeah.
So when I finished that and I was enrolling in college, I actually wanted to go to culinary school.
Oh.
But my dad, at that time, I'm talking about almost 4 decades back, right? So the entertainment, the industry, the hotel industry was not so developed in India at that time.
At that time.
If I had not gone into IT, I probably might have been a chef.
That's nice. That's nice.
Instead of Sanjeev Kapoor, you would have said
So in now's world, if your son would want to do something like this, would you encourage him to do this?
Absolutely. Because he actually is studying marine biology.
Oh.
And that is such a niche field that my wife really had concerns about putting him into marine biology. But I said, I'm sure he'll chart his own path and we'll worry about career later. For now, he's so passionate about this subject. So we actually sent him to UNH to study marine biology. He's completed his bachelor's degree and he's now doing his master's in marine biology there.
That's nice.
Oh, absolutely. So I would, by all means, I feel that, following something, you asked me about my job and the fact whether I enjoy it or not, and I do a lot. And I feel that if it's a cliche what people say, that if you love your job, then you don't go to work every day, you go to have fun. Yeah. I think that is so important. It may not happen in every single person's case, but the closer you get to something that you're passionate about, I think you will have a long career.
Yeah.
And it doesn't become a job after that.
It becomes enjoyment.
Enjoyment, yes. Exactly.
Other than work, what are some of your hobbies and passions?
Now, one of my passions is teaching in ShishuBharati. But other than that, I love listening to music. I love reading, fiction mostly. Yeah. And I love movies. I'm crazy about movies. And now, the superhero movies. I grew up reading comics. Apart from studying, which I did a lot of. No, I'm joking. I still love reading comics. I think I had about 2,500 comics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which afterwards I donated all of that once I went to college. But yeah, I used to read all the Marvel series, the Amar Chitra Kathas, Indrajal, you name it.
Yeah.
I had a full
Marvel's
collection.
very popular these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I connected with the movies right away. Because that and DC both. Superman, DC, Batman was something that I grew up on. I think there's a much deeper meaning. Captain America means, somebody who demonstrates the values of America, protect the weak and, that kind of thing. So I feel it's a lot deeper than just being something that kids enjoy.
Yeah, that's very true. So if you had to choose a superhero, DC or Marvel, which superhero would you choose to be?
Captain America.
Captain America.
Yeah,
So
I just brought. Yeah,
symbolizes bravery and
exactly, and chivalry, and helping the helpless, and because he went through bullying himself, he realized, and growing up, in India also there was a little bit of bullying that I encountered. I used to be a very short kid till I think 10th grade. I was just about 5 feet, and then I shot up. So I wouldn't call it victimized, but experienced some of that, and so I feel that he is such a powerful role model that even when he became powerful, he did not he remembered his pain, his suffering, and he did not want to inflict that on other people. In fact, he wanted to protect them from undergoing the same. Right? So.
Yeah, that's true. So if you had to live the life of one celebrity for one day, who would you choose and why?
That's a deep question.
Yeah. Someone you connect to, or you feel you're inspired.
Celebrity wise, I don't know. Maybe somebody like Sachin Tendulkar, I guess.
Yeah. Cricket.
Because growing up, I watched him a lot. Although he's younger than me, but I watched him, and at that time he burst onto the scene with so much energy. He was so good. At the same time, I noted every time, remarkably so, he was so humble.
Yeah.
He never bragged about himself, and so if I ever got a chance to enjoy his fame and be like him, I think I would like that.
So as a child, you enjoyed cricket a lot?
I loved cricket.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I used to. I mean, and growing up in India, like I said, we used to play outside a lot. So there were a lot of games we used to play: soccer, hockey, gilli danda, all of that. But cricket was our favorite game by far. Any chance you get, any gully cricket, ground cricket, you name it, we used to play cricket.
Do you speak any other languages?
I do. I speak, growing up in Mumbai, that was an advantage. So I speak Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, to some extent Kannada, which is my parents' mother tongue.
Oh, okay.
Tulu, I speak fairly fluently, and then English.
Okay. So, what is your favorite season of the year?
Fall.
Fall?
Yes.
Yeah, like going up to Mount Washington. Have you ever been there?
Yes, several times. I love the colors. The reason why I like fall is spring is not bad, but I suffer from seasonal allergies.
Oh, okay.
That's why I don't like. I wouldn't say don't like, but that's why it's not my favorite season. Fall, I think, just the coolness in the air and just the colors and the vibrancy. It's like the not to get too philosophical, but it's kind of one season goes away and then fall brings the promise of the next season coming, and then I love winter too. Actually, I really enjoy. Nowadays I don't get time to ski and all, but I used to ski a lot. So fall, knowing that winter's coming up, go and ski and do some fun stuff. I go ice fishing with my son sometimes. So I enjoy some of those aspects of winter. So when fall's here, I enjoy those 2-3 months, and then leading up to winter. So yeah.
So, if you won the lottery, what would you do with the money?
I'd put some aside for my retirement, and one of my main aspirations. I have actually given this thought because they always say that you should always have an idea if you ever. I don't buy lotteries, but funnily enough, I've thought about this, and some to my near and dear ones, including some of my good friends, and the remaining maybe some charity. Some of the causes that are close to my heart. Yeah. Obviously, first you have to take care of your. They say, right, charity begins at home.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sound too philanthropic or anything. I will make sure that our future is secure, our son's future is secure. And then I'll start with my close family, close friends, and make sure that they are also, they get to enjoy my good fortune.
Yeah, that's nice. So you'll try to cover everybody.
Yes.
Nice. So now we're going to do something, we're going to have timed questions.
Okay.
For each question, you're going to get 15 seconds to answer.
Okay.
Okay. So question number 1. Can you name 2 countries that start with Z?
Zimbabwe and Zambia.
Yes, correct. Very nice. So can you name 3 things that come out of a cloud?
Rain, hail, and snow.
So, we mentioned superheroes earlier. Can you name 3 Avengers?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Iron Man, Captain America. Who should I name?
Hulk. There's so many. Yeah,
I know.
that's nice. So, what is one message you would give to your ShishuBharati students? So
one message, I think I mentioned this during this year's graduation ceremony. I feel that children should continue to explore some of their Indian heritage, because the history is so rich, the mythology is so rich. And as I personally experienced what I learned as a kid, I had a completely different perspective of it when I went and revisited some of those things. The other thing is not related to ShishuBharati, but just about yourself, try to find something that you're passionate about. You will really enjoy doing it. It won't be a job for you anymore. I've been fortunate in my life that I was in a position to do it. And I hope each one of you is. So, best of luck, and all my blessings are with you guys.
That's very nice advice. So, to conclude this interview, I would like to ask, what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote was the quote by Gandhiji. Be the change you want to see in the world.
That's a very good quote. I like that quote too.
Yeah. I feel that, everybody seems to point fingers at others and pointing out that others are not doing their job. But if you want to do something, if you're passionate about something, do it yourself first, right? I remember back in the day when we were in Mumbai, this is a long time back, right? And we used to go out and people used to talk about how clean the other countries are and how beautiful those other countries are and how people are conscientious and they take care of things. When we used to go out in our car, I used to bring plastic bags with me so we could collect our trash and bring it back home. You know, so I think that's where it starts, right? Every little thing that if you are going to tell somebody else to do something, start with yourself first.
Yes.
You know, the moment you do it, then I think you're kind of empowered to tell other people.
Yes.
If you don't do it yourself,
Yeah, then
I don't think you are really, you don't have a ground to stand on
Yes,
to tell other people
true.
to do the same thing.
Yes. So your quote that you said, we'll put it up on a wall, and it'll be called the Wall of Quotes.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad other people will be able to come by and see it, read it,
Yeah.
and hopefully they'll take something from it.
Yes. So thank you for coming here tonight and sharing your experiences with us. It was great talking to you. And on behalf of Rendezvous with Rohan, I'd like to wish you the very best.
Likewise, it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this show. Stay tuned for another guest on Rendezvous with Rohan coming soon. Thank you.